What's going on, everybody? Up to this point, we have our core group together and a few quests under our belt. We have our logbook over here to grab new quests as they pop up. There'll be a little thing over the Gamlen's house icon on the map to let you know when something new is available. Go put a check mark on, and that essentially activates it, and then you can just kind of do it at your convenience. And so I'll try to pick these up as we go along, too. But there'll be some things to turn in. I do want to make a stop at the Black Emporium to get a Rune of Fortune and the recipe for the Rune of Fortune, because one thing about runes is if you change them out for other runes, you destroy the old ones, so you may have to make multiples of some. And that can get expensive, and considering there's essentially limited money in the game, you know, it's kind of advisable not to switch out runes too often. Like I say, that can be a real money drain. But Rune of Fortune will essentially pay for itself sooner than later. It'll give you a certain percentage extra money for every loot drop. You know, anytime money is dropped, you'll get a little bit more. And of course, the more runes you have active in your armor, and it also carries over to your party members' armor also. So if you have multiple runes set up in different pieces of armor throughout your party, your money, you know, you can, I don't know if you can double your money intake, but you can increase it substantially. And over time, with lots of enemy drops, these runes will pay for themselves easily. But anyway, I can get one here. The recipe calls for a material which I think is on the Storm Coast, and we're going to head there sooner than later. For one reason is, if you go to the Storm Coast before like storyline quests start sending you there, then there'll be some enemies there that you can clear out. And then when the storyline quests pop up, you can go back and there'll be more enemies will spawn. Whereas if you wait for the storyline quests, you can miss out on some XP by not going there earlier.
Here you're having problems with the bone pit. I can help.
Finally someone comes to help me. You look a bit unseasoned, but I hope you'll do. I had to suspend operations. My workers are lost in the mines or have run off. Served me right for hiring Ferelden refugees. I sent others before, but no word. Perhaps they are putting me off. I need someone competent to figure out what is going on.
What's the reward?
I will pay handsomely. The exact amount depends on what perils you face.
Your first mistake was naming your mine the Bone Pit.
The locals named the mine. Those fools say it's cursed. That is why I hire Fereldens. They may be dull-witted, but they're not superstitious.
Wow.
Mind what you say about my countrymen.
I was not referring to you, of course. My workers are a particularly desperate sort. They're lucky to work for me. Few in Kirkwall will hire refugees.
Surely the miners had good reason to leave.
I am at a loss. No miner has reported in, and no one takes me seriously.
The Bone Pit must be dangerous if people are afraid to venture there.
No, nothing like that. Pay no heed to local superstition. The Bone Pit is mostly harmless.
You said some of your workers are Ferelden?
Yes, all of them. An unruly lot, to be sure.
I'll head there soon.
The sooner the better. Each day the mine is not running costs me more than those miners make in a year. The Bone Pit is just outside the city. Any map will show it.
Wow, you make enough in a day off that mine to pay your workers for a year? First of all, you're not paying them crap, obviously. Second, you're making a heck of a profit on that place. I'll be getting some of that, I think. Sounds good to me. You want me to do all the legwork for you? I'm going to get paid for it. Let's go ahead and let Sandal throw this Rune of Fortune into... I think you get the best returns if you throw it in your chest piece, and second best returns if you put it in either helmet or a shield. I think you can actually throw these in a shield because it counts as armor, essentially. But anyway, chest piece I believe gives you the highest percentage return. That's fine. It's a little something. Like I say, sooner than later it'll actually pay for itself. It costs what, 50 silver. I'll pick up 50 extra silver, you know, over time.
not stay here for long.
Madame Lucine runs the place for Harlan. Or with him. Or on him. Everything.
Yes. Visit the brothel. My day is complete. Absolutely. Alright, so I want to check for some codex. There is a little fetch'em item that I can turn into somebody here. And maybe another fetch'em item laying around somewhere to pick up for someone else. Who knows? Those things pop up all over the place. And they're good for some quick XP and some quick money. Usually they seem to pay about 50 silver each, you know. They add up over time. Now, a lot of these fetch'em quests, what you used to be able to do is you could press your attack button before approaching whoever you were going to turn it into. And as long as your daggers were out, you could turn in that quest infinitely. As long as you wanted. And you would get 50 silver each time, right? So you could just sit there and click it over and over and over and just turn it in, and you just watch your whole party just level up. And you could level all the way to, I think the level cap was 50. And you could level all the way to 50. And as soon as you step out the door, the first enemy you face is going to have a health bar stretching all the way across the screen. You know, it's going to be level 50 enemy. And so the game was sort of balanced, but on the same token, you were using skills that, oh, they almost essentially put you in God mode, you know, like you start the game with. I mean, you're still killable. You don't get automatic health regen, you know, like in Varric's tale, telling of how, you know, your family escaped with Marvel superhero powers from Lothering, you know, all that kind of stuff. That line of BS that he was feeding Cassandra at the start. But you do have essentially superpower ability as far as just, you know, all your stats are going to be through the roof. You know, level 50, you have almost every skill unlocked. And, you know, 1 million tactic slots, you know, for your whole party to just basically, any given situation, they have a command, you know, and the stamina and whatever else available to do it. And it's fun, I guess. You know, I've actually done that because I wanted to play like they gave us the option to play in the demo. You know, at the beginning of the game, at the very beginning, I wanted to have all those skills unlocked. And, of course, what that does is that sets aside the whole design of the game is that you have a limited number of skill points. You know, if I think the hard cap on levels, if you min-max every single XP that you could possibly get with DLC items and what have you, I think it's 26. That's counting DLC. Maybe 27. It's not really going to go much higher. You're certainly not going to get anywhere near 30s or 40s, much less 50, level 50, okay? So there's limited points that you have available to you. And, you know, you have to build your skill within that. You know, pick a branch and follow it. And maximize that character with that particular, you know, job in mind. You know, whatever duty you're going to assign to that particular party member. So pick the points that allow them to do that impeccably. Just throwing points anywhere when you already have a limited number of points just leads to a disaster, you know. And so it takes some thought and fine-tuning to come up with an individual build and a party build that works. And so, you know, that, you know, you kind of bypass that whole mechanic when you just have, you know, friggin' what, 50, 60 skill points and unlimited gold to just get anything and do anything you want to. Fun to try, but it certainly takes away from the genius and the beauty of the game. Is in level design and build design and stuff like that. So this guy wasn't here before, but he's here now, so we'll see what he wants. Yet another side quest.
Always has a complaint ready, Sunshine. You there, Ferelden. I wish to speak with you. You've gained quite a reputation with the Red Iron Mercenary Band. I find myself in need of someone with your special talents.
I'm guessing you don't mean my ability to juggle small rodents to Elysian ballads.
If that is your greatest skill, then I have been misinformed. I am looking for muscle, not whatever it was you were just describing. A man I sentenced to a life in prison has escaped custody. He's been tracked to an abandoned ruin outside the city.
A request that should have been made of the guard.
Why is there such a clamor to catch this man? What has he done?
He's escaped. That's reason enough to catch him.
We're both intelligent people. There's something in the ruins, isn't there?
There is something, yes. There are creatures in the ruins. The guards I sent are ill-equipped to deal with such beasts.
Do you know what manner of beasts they are?
I don't know what they look like. I've never seen one myself. The guards say these things have already torn through a full company of men.
It would be easier to seal up the entrance and let the beasts take care of him.
I believe in justice, Ferelden, not unbridled slaughter. I will not let prisoners be eaten just because I don't want to get my hands dirty.
I'm sure if you send in enough men this time, they'd do fine.
No. The more guards who know, the easier it is for this to get out. Those men gossip like old fishwives.
I'll take the job.
Bring the fugitive in alive, quickly and quietly. Not only will you be well paid, you'll have the gratitude of a city magistrate. Useful for a refugee, wouldn't you agree?
Never trust nobles. Never trust politicians. Ever, ever, ever. It's a foolish thing to do. But, I'll take your quest. I'll take the XP. And I'll take the gold if there's any available. But, yeah, I don't trust you any farther than I can throw you. Actually, I don't trust you half as far as I can throw you. Honestly.
Varric, do you do anything?
Am I the next stop in your career evaluations? Joy of joys.
You watch and you talk. Is that it?
Should be plenty of codex here in the Chantry. I did forget to stop here earlier, but it doesn't really matter. I want to get in here and get the experience for reading these.
You are dismissing hallmarks of both the utterly ineffectual and the incredibly dangerous.
Lots of Chantry history and lore. Thoughts on the Maker, or at least the Chantry's thoughts on the Maker as they perceive them, and as they've been watered down, diluted, and twisted over time through politics and various people's agendas, what have you.
I don't know what you mean.
It means coins flow when I talk and when I shut up. Like if you got paid to guard or unguard.
That makes no sense.
Good.
People tell me to speak, and people tell me to be quiet sometimes. Like that, like if you got paid to guard or unguard. Hey, stop guarding that for a minute. Here's 5 gold. Go look over there.
Your reason for living.
It's cool that Aveline doesn't get that though. That she has no, I don't know if she has a corrupt bone in her body. She's just she's simple, but you know she's got your back. I like Aveline a lot. Of course, there's maybe some less scrupulous things you're not going to get away with under her nose. Not without gaining a lot of rivalry with her. Kind of need to be on your P's and Q's when you're around Aveline. Yeah, there we go. Another fetch 'em quest item. Somebody wants those. I don't even remember where to deliver those, but it'll pop up on the map. Map's really easy to navigate. Little quest symbols, small ones for side quests, and I think big arrows for the main quests. But it does pay to poke your nose into every corner, most definitely. Like I say, when XP is limited, then you take it when you can, you know? And every little bit counts. That right there, speaking of that, we just leveled with that one codex right there.
I'm sorry you had to witness that disgraceful scene by the Chanter's board. I am Elthina, Grand Cleric of Kirkwall. Sebastian's normally a good lad, but he's had a terrible shock.
Sebastian? Was that his name?
Sebastian Vale. He was affirmed here nearly a decade ago. He had just been invested as a brother when we got the news about his family. I'm afraid he reacted rashly, denied his vows, and left the Chantry. If the Maker wills it, he will return to himself before it's too late.
So he's some kind of priest?
He is an initiate of the faith. As a man, he cannot serve as a mother would, but he has led the chant here many times. Before last week, I would have said he was the most faithful of our true believers.
He said someone murdered his family.
Sebastian is the youngest son of the ruling family of Starkhaven. They were overthrown recently, violently. Sebastian is the only surviving member.
He's royalty.
Prince Sebastian Vale, if he succeeds in his pledge to take back his lands. He made a vow to the Maker to put worldly concerns behind him. It is a sin to forswear himself for a mere title.
I think his family deserves to be avenged.
Sebastian would spend his coin to buy men's lives, the same as those who attacked his family. No matter how justified he feels, that is murder.
That's a lie. That's not
And
true.
when he returns, I will tell him so again.
Man has a right to avenge his family regardless of what the law says.
You are from over the sea, are you not? Have you come to pray for those you left behind? It was a near thing what happened in Ferelden, but in the end, the Maker stepped in.
I hear a lot about the Knight Commander here. What can you tell me?
Gossip is a sin, child. Knight Commander Meredith has an admirable devotion to her duties.
To the exclusion of all else.
It is not my role to form opinions on her character.
Why are circle mages here kept in a Tevinter prison?
Ah, so soon you take an interest in our problems. The short answer is it was a building, a large one. Should it have sat empty? The Chantry found a use for what was once a horror. It is the nature of men to move on and forget the past. Even your blight will be a distant memory in our lifetimes.
What's this R shit? Won't be a distant memory in mine. Self-centered bitch.
I have things to do.
May you walk in Andraste's light.
What they will find, I think that the Chantry is characterized by this lady, to be fair, in the story. I think essentially she's supposed to be that middle ground, that reasoning voice of the Chantry, but the bottom line is what you find out is if anything requires taking a stance, to get something done, to deal with evil before it kills more innocent people and affects more innocent lives, if anything requires taking a stance, the Chantry backs off and finds some religious excuse not to. You'll see a pattern of that, all right? It's going to happen over and over. And she's the voice of that. And I'll tell you what, that whole stance that, oh, sweet. It's a good thing we did come back here to turn this in because I think each time you return, you can potentially spawn another mob of these guys. And like I said, this is kind of free XP. This is definitely missable XP. If you don't return here often, you know, check back every once in a while, then some of these mobs, obviously you won't run into them, and in killing them, it's, you know, quick 100 here, quick 100 there, but that definitely adds up. Doesn't take a whole lot of XP to level in this game, so at least not early on. And later on, when it does take a lot, then all those little bits will add up, and you might squeeze that one extra level out of the game that you otherwise wouldn't have. But her stance on murder, I'm sorry, man has written laws that say killing a murderer is murder. And no, that's a false justification to avoid the only solution for a murderer that there actually is, and that's to get rid of them because their presence in the world, whether they're in the act of killing somebody or not, their presence in the world is that of a murderer, meaning that their thoughts and their deeds, their works, what they influence, what they raise, what they nurture and or destroy is all affected and, more properly, infected by their very being. What they say, what they do, what they think, how they are. Twisted, broken in the first place. You know, you put a bad apple in the barrel and what happens? All the other apples turn bad. That is a legitimate, obvious parable, an analogy there that you can see in nature right there in your face to give you a perfect example of what happens. And then you see it happen in society on a much bigger scale. And instead of dealing with these individuals, right, you justify them and find some excuse, and you're sending a twofold message. Once you're telling On one hand, you're telling murderers it's okay. Well, it's not really okay, but the consequences aren't as bad, right? And then you're telling the victims that their lives mean less, having been taken by these monsters, in that these monsters can do that, right? And that the next victim doesn't mean a whole lot. In fact, your rights aren't worth near as much as this murderer's right. We will go twice as far to defend a murderer than we will to help a victim, for example. And you can go off into other crimes. You can talk about rape and other things like that, where the victims are often beat down by the courts, by the law, by justice, by society, way more so than the monsters who commit rape. And they should be put to death. Kidnappers put to death. Child molesters put to death. Murderers put to death. Well, they need to be forgiven. You can forgive them, but you don't excuse their actions and allow them to continue doing that, and polluting the world with their presence, and breathing your air, and breathing out their filth, speaking their filth, acting their filth, thinking their filth, promoting their filth. Right? You don't do that. In doing that, you have society as it is today. Well, that's not civilized. Oh, civilized is allowing these people to brutalize your society. The brutality is what you're trying to avoid, and that's what you're promoting by your laws. By letting these monsters exist, right? You get them out. Send them off to talk to God about it. Let them go talk to God about it, about their crimes. But as far as what they've done in the physical, well, they have rights. No. They forfeit their rights by their actions, right? If I give something away, then I no longer have it, okay? So in doing these things, they've given away their right to be counted amongst normal, average, peace-loving, profitable, functional people in society. They've given that away. They freely let you have that. They freely forsook that by their actions and by their deeds and by what they are. It's not just what they do, it's what they are. And that's where that dividing line comes in. So no, a man's right to avenge his family and make sure that the evildoer not only doesn't go on to do that, but is removed from this world based on the actions that they've done. There has to be balance, right? For every action, there's a reaction, right? And so when a murder is committed, you take that murderer out, and that murderer no longer murders. That's your solution. It's really just that simple. And then the taxpayers don't have to pay to house that murderer and reward them with 3 hots and a cot and a casual life free of work, for the rest of their lives. I don't know where anyone thought that was justice. Prisons are a great way for the state and government to make profit by charging the taxpayers 10 times what it actually costs to house a prisoner. And of course, nobody questions that because they feel secure, right? Because quote unquote, the criminals are behind bars, quote unquote, but they don't bother to actually open their eyes and actually register what they're seeing on the news every night. Is that this shit is not just prevalent in their city. It's happening just down the street. It's happening next door. It's happening in their own house, and it's promoted by the law. There's no criminal that is deterred from crime by prison. Okay. Criminals are deterred from crime by consequence, and there is none. And prison is not a consequence. Prison is a means for which they can take the money that they haven't taken from you through credit and taxes and usury and so on and so forth. And wow, how did we get off into this big global economy and social issue thing with this? Well, that's the type of stuff that these games bring up. That's absolutely the nerves that these games touch on, and a lot of times the solutions or some answers to these problems can be found when you think about it. How can this be fixed? But anyway, let me level my character. You can see how I'm setting my tactics here. Like I say, Aveline needs to draw hate and keep it. Okay, and the ability to keep it means stand on her feet and don't die instantly as soon as she gets mobbed by all the people who she's yelled at and talked about their mama and stuff out there on the battlefield, to try to keep the baddies off of our mages and stuff. Varric will give him this really cool ability to goad enemies away from our mages and send them to Aveline. So essentially, he's going to kind of dictate what people on the battlefield do. That's kind of his job, right? As well as laying down some pain. Bianca can do some work. Bianca can put out some damage. So he can do a share of all that. We can do a little more experimenting with the exploding bolt thing, but I'm pretty sure that's friendly fire. We've been experimenting some with it. I need to get into a few more fights to see. So, I needed to pick that anyway to get some other stuff in his Bianca tree. So, it's not a big deal, but I'm certainly not going to upgrade an ability that's, going to wipe my whole party every time he uses it. screw that.
Not a wise place to linger.
Considering, you know, you may have 20 skills that you want, and you say, I have 24 points to work with. Well, that's great. I shouldn't have any problem. But a lot of those skills will require several points into that tree. Some of those points which may be spent on things that you don't want, that you need to unlock in order to get the thing that you do want. So when you factor that in, those points start to become really precious. Yeah, like I say, I don't want to sit there and spend points in an ability that I can't even use, obviously. But yeah, we're going to give this a little more of a trial. Nice to have this merchant right here. I think I'm going to pawn this stuff. I think there's some other merchants here underground at night at the docks. We're going to have to return here at night anyway. Sooner than later, actually. Still have a lot of this DLC stuff here. Decent staffs. I noticed these DLC items, they're just a little better than middle of the road. Not bad to have here. They give you some good early stuff, I guess. Some earlier bonuses that you probably wouldn't find on really low level gear. But they, you know, and some of them, even the ones that scale with you by level, they don't scale up as high as your top tier items might. But they're usable, you know. And so I'll hang on to some of them. Give them to my mages until we find something better, you know, that type of thing. Belts and rings and stuff, those coming in handy. Giving a few bonuses that I would otherwise have to look around amongst a few merchants for. But like to have those off top. Actually, that's money I won't have to spend. Money isn't quite as much of an issue with some of this DLC stuff. Guess you spend real world money and they require you to spend less in-game money or something. That's fine. All I know is I've got these sexy axes. Look at these twin sides, man. These twin sickles. I'm not going to say they're cooler than Dalish daggers, but they're different. I definitely like them. I'm going to run with these for a while. Probably for the game. Probably. Unless they just get so outdated as far as damage goes by something else that I have to switch. Unless that happens, I think I'll stick with these guys. Very cool. Alright, wanted to look around. I thought there was some crafting material. Maybe, you know, a random spindleweed sitting in a corner somewhere type of thing. And I was expecting to see at least one little side quest pop up here. I think we have to come here at night first, and then maybe come back here during the day after we meet someone else in the game. There's going to be more followers, there's going to be more people that we'll come in contact with, and some of those will open up new things in some of these same areas. But it's cool. So I come in here now, I don't have to go looking for crates and boxes and stuff next time, because I got them out of the way. Alright, there you have it. So we'll go off and see what else we can do. Get in trouble. In the next one, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, click that button over my head. For more Dragon Age, click that image in the middle, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.